Hey everybody, welcome back. I know it's been a little while since I posted any of my own tutorials. That's just because I've been using some other materials for class. But this is going to help my students in class animate their character. I just first want to say thanks to the students in my class who made this character and the other supporting vector graphics in Adobe Illustrator. They all came out really good. But today we're going to be making this character do a walking motion like this. It's simple right now. I'm gonna show you a couple different ways that you can actually make this look a little bit more realistic. But this is using no plugins, which can be kind of a pain for some people if you don't have plugins. This is all regular After Effects controls and tools, so that's a good thing on that end. So let's go ahead and get started with this thing. I'm going to go ahead and pause it. Well, our main goal was to actually get this character into this environment, also made by my students. And you can see that it's just a simple walking motion down the sidewalk. And I'm pretty excited to get this project finished here. And I think this tutorial will help us do that. So I'm going to go ahead with a new project. I don't need to save that. And what I'm going to do is open up my Illustrator file here. So if you're watching this in the YouTube world there, I started with an Illustrator file. Like I said, it was from my students. My students created it. I'll show you it here. I have everything layered out. I merged some of the layers, like the eyes and the facial features and the hair were all on separate layers. I merged them together just so it's easier to see in After Effects once I get it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that, and this file was the one I just had open. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring this into After Effects here by dragging and dropping. And now it's going to ask us a couple questions here in this dialog box. The import kind, we don't want footage, we want composition. And then we want the footage dimensions to be at layer size. So let's go ahead and click on OK. And now once it imports, it's actually being read as a composition. So what I'm going to do is just double click that composition here, and you can see it opens it up, and all of our layers are down below here. Now we want to think about how we want to animate this. Let's take a look at our layers, and I just want to point one thing out. If you look at the right upper leg, and I'm going to select it here, you can see it highlights here, but if you think about it, it's her left leg, but we have these layers named by the way that we are looking at it. So it would be to our right, the way we're looking at it. So that's why it's called the right upper leg. So I'm going to start with the right leg here. And the first thing that we need to do is relocate the anchor point. You can see with this selected, this little circle with the little crosshair points on each quadrant, that is your anchor point. And in After Effects, you can relocate this by pressing Y on the keyboard. That's the button Y. And then you can click and drag this. Now what you would want to do is drag it to where you think this layer needs to be pivoting. And since this is a human character, that would be right where the hip is there. So then I'm going to go down to the right lower leg, and then it'll keep me with the relocate anchor point cursor. So I'm going to move the lower leg right to where about the knee is, and then I'm going to click on the right foot, and then I'm going to relocate this up to where about the ankle is, but it's basically right where the foot is meeting the lower leg, so about right there. Now once all the anchor points are relocated, what we have to do is parent the foot to the lower leg to the upper leg. So the way we do that is we find the pick whip button, which is right here. So I'm going to start with the foot. I'm going to click from the foot, and I'm going to drag to the upper leg there, and then that was the lower leg, and then the lower leg is going to go to the upper leg. Now, if you click on the upper leg and then press R on the keyboard, it's going to bring up the rotation properties. Now, as you adjust this rotation, you can see that it actually brings all the other parts with it. That's because they're parented with them, and we're able to do that through the pick whip tool. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this value back to 0 for now. Because we want to make sure we're getting a more natural motion with this. So we're going to go through that process now. So whenever we adjust this upper leg, we want to make sure that the knee and the ankle is also rotating. So just follow along here, and we will get to that. So let's go ahead and if you look over in your effects and presets panel, you're going to see some expression controls. We're going to want to add this angle control to an adjustment layer. So let's go ahead and we're going to go up to Layer, New, and then click on Adjustment Layer. Now, you can see it kind of blends in with the rest of them here. I'm just going to click this little box, and I'm just going to change it to a green color so I can tell it's different than my other layers. And then I want to actually go up into my effect controls here, and I want to actually click on the little lock button here. And then I want to rename this adjustment layer, so just select that adjustment layer and then press enter on the keyboard, and it'll allow you to rename it. And this is going to be Control, and I'm going to put RT leg because that is the right leg. And you can see it adjusted up here. Now all we have to do is then take this angle control, and we're going to drag it onto this adjustment layer. And you can see it pops up right here. Now we're going to rename the angle control that we put on here. So click on it and then press enter. And then this is going to be the right leg control, and then later on we can add to this and do a knee control here, but we're not going to do that quite right now. And then that'll allow us to then control the knee bending. But right now what we want to do is go down to the layers, and I'm going to find my right upper leg. Well, since I already have my rotation out here, I'm just going to highlight the right lower leg and the right foot, and then I'm going to press R on those. That's going to open up the rotation properties. Now what we want to do is we want to pick whip the angle values here. So in order to do that, you have to hold in Alt and then click on the little stopwatch here beside rotation, and then we're going to find the pick whip, and we're going to link that up to our angle. So now with these values sitting at red, it means that we're linking to something else. That something else is our angle control up here. So you can see if we adjust this, it's actually now adjusting this value down here. But I'm going to set that back to 0 here. I just wanted to show you that. Now what we have to do is click on this rotation. I'm going to press Control C to copy that, and then I'm going to select this rotation, holding Control, select this rotation, and then do a Control V to paste that value. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click off here so it doesn't highlight it. If I adjust this here, you can see that how it is actually affecting the leg. Now, like I said before, with it going this way, you can see it's a little unnatural the way it is. That's why if we added another control for the knee here and then picked whip that up to the control, then that's kind of how you then would get your more natural movement. But for tutorial purposes here, I'm not going to quite go into that yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do this same thing for the left leg. So I'm going to contract all these rotation properties for the right leg. Now we're going to start working with the left leg. Now, first thing we need to do is relocate our anchor points. So let's start with the left upper leg. Press Y on the keyboard. Bring that up to the hip. Click on the lower leg. Bring that up to the knee. And then do the foot. Bring that up to the ankle. And then starting with the foot, we want to then parent it to the other parts of the leg like we did on the other one. So I'm going to click on the pick whip area for the foot, go to the lower leg, and then take the lower leg to the upper leg. Now what we need to do is then make another adjustment layer. So what I'm going to do is go up to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. And then we need to rename this layer. So I'm going to press Enter and put Control LT leg. And then I'm going to change that to, say, a blue. And then we're going to drag the angle control to the control left leg. And now you can see it'll bring us up here to the control left leg and then the angle control. Now just click on the lock. And then let's go down to the left leg, upper, lower, and the foot. I want to make sure all three of those are selected. We want to press the R button so it brings up the rotation properties. Now I'm going to use the upper leg and I'm going to pick whip this angle button up here. Actually, before we do that though, let's click on the angle control here and press Enter, and then we're going to name this Control LT leg. I did RT leg control for the other one, but same difference, no big deal. We just want to make sure we rename it. So let's go ahead and pick whip this value. So I'm gonna hit holding Control, click the little stopwatch here for the upper leg, and then I'm gonna pick whip our angle here, and then I'm going to copy this rotation value, so Control C, select both of these rotation properties, press Control V, and now let's test it out, and you can see that this leg is now moving also. Alright, so let's put that back to 0. Okay, now for the arms, you would have to do the same exact thing that we did with the legs. We would have to relocate the anchor points. We would have to parent each part of the arm to the joining part of the arm, and then we would have to make an adjustment layer, drag the angle control on, and then do the pick whipping and copying of the rotation value. I'm not going to do that for the tutorial purposes here, but I would like you to do that for my students because I'd like to see you guys actually make something a little bit nicer than I did. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead down through here. I'm going to show you how we need to actually animate this. Now, let's go ahead, and we need to animate this with the control layer, or the adjustment layers here. So I'm going to start with the right leg here, and then I'm going to expand the effects, and now we can see the right leg control effect and then angle. Now let's make sure we have the effect control for the right leg up here. Now with adjusting here, you can see that basically this angle is the same as the angle up here. So I'm going to start with 0. And then if you take a look at my timeline down here, I have a composition that's about 11 seconds long. So if yours is not quite 11 seconds, I would go to about that far, and you can change that by right clicking the tab right here and then going to composition settings and then adjusting the duration, which is right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the keyframes for the angles. Now we're going to start here. Now I'm going to go about every second here, and then I'm going to start this way. I'm going to go to about right here, and it might look a little funny right now, but it'll start taking shape here once we get down the line here. So then I'm going to go to 2, and then I'm going to bring it back the other way. And let me go back to this one. I think I went a little far with this one. Yeah, I'm about 16 degrees. I only want to be about 10 degrees. So let me look at that. So we're back to about there, to about there. Okay, that's not bad. I might be able to make some adjustments later on. But let's keep going back and forth. Now, we basically have a value of positive 10 to negative 10. So I'm going to go down to my 3-second mark right here. I'm going to select my 1 second keyframe, press Control C, and then Control V. It pastes it right back here. Then I'm going to go down to 4 seconds. I'm going to click on my 2-second keyframe, Control C, Control V. Go down to 5 seconds, Control C, Control V, and then 6 seconds is going to be the same as the 4 seconds, so Control C, Control V. So let me bring this back. I'm going to play it through here. So there's the right leg there. Now let's go ahead, and I'm going to do the same thing now for the left leg, just to kind of get them working together. So I'm going to open that up. We're going to do about the same thing, but we're going to be going opposite with it. So I'm going to click on my keyframe here, then I'm going to go to this point, but I'm going to, we can see this is positive 10, so we want this to be negative 10 the other way. And now this one will be positive 10. Now we can start copying the frame. So I'm going to go down to here, click on this one, do a Control C, Control V, go down to here, Control C, Control V. I'm going to keep going down the line here. Now let's go ahead back here, and we can go ahead and see that it's somewhat of a walking motion. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of do both of these at the same time now. So I'm going to go down to this 7 marker. On this layer, I'm going to do Control C, Control V. Now I'm going to click on the right leg one, Control C, Control V. Now I'm basically working on both of them at the same time now. Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. I think you got the idea here. Now, whenever we get to the end here, whenever this thing loops, to make it look seamless, we have to put a 0 value because that's what it was way back here. So we're going to have to go down and just invoke a keyframe here and a keyframe here. Then we're just going to have to make sure those are set to 0. And that's the original position. So now I'm going to bring this all the way back, and we'll play this through, and we can watch whenever it gets down to 11 seconds here. It's going to go ahead and loop, but it'll look pretty seamless. Yep. Let's watch it one more time. It goes a little slow there. I could probably make a few adjustments, but I'm not going to do that right now. Now, we basically have this in the walking motion. Now, whenever you folks do it, I want you to do the arms here also. So you'll have a little bit more involved with it than me. But what I want to do is I'm going to get rid of this oval in the background. You can see that's the background right here. I'm just going to go ahead and select it and hit the delete button. Get rid of it because even though the background looks black, it actually is a transparent background. And what we're trying to do is put her walking into a scene. Now, this is our scene. This was drawn up in Illustrator by my students, of course, and it looks very nice. So we want her to walk completely down the sidewalk here. So what I want to do is make a new composition that is going to have this as the background. Then what we're going to do is then bring this composition in to that composition, and then just animate the position property because she's already animated in this composition. So it's kind of like an animation in animation style. Basically, it's animated in this composition for the legs to move, and the other composition is going to be just the position that is keyframed. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to I'm going to find my project folder here. Now I want to do a composition, new comp. Now we're making this, it's the HD TV 1080 with the 30 frame per second. That's going to give us our 1920 by 1080 frame size. So, and I'm going to make the duration the same as this, and I'm going to click on OK. So what that does, it opens this, and it actually has that same color background. It really doesn't matter what the background color is because we're bringing our other file in. So I'm going to go ahead and find that other file. It's this environment file, so I'm going to go ahead and just drag this over here. And we can import it as composition and layer size as the other one. So then I'm going to actually just drag this environment composition into this new comp. And I had my students actually make this image that 1920 by 1080, so it's fitting now nicely into our frame. Let me actually drag this down some so we can see it a little bit better. And now all we have to do is bring our character in. Also make sure that character is above, and you can see here she is. Now if I just hit the space bar to play, you can see that she is now animated just like this. So what we have to do is first off, size her up, because if I put her by the bank, I highly doubt she's about the same size as the bank. So what I'm going to do is put her where I want her to start, and I'm going to zoom out here a little bit, and then I'm going to grab this corner point, and I'm going to hold in shift and then resize her to about this size here. I'm going to use the bench. I'd say that's about appropriate there. So I'm going to actually have her right off the screen here. And then I'm going to open up the now transform properties to this layer. And then I'm going to keyframe the position. So it's going to lock her right here. Then I'm going to say by 11 seconds I want her to be down here. So I put the time indicator on 11. And then I'm just going to click and drag her over, but I'm going to hold in shift while I'm doing that so it goes straight across the page. And this is about the point where she's going to turn, walk up the steps, and go into the bank with her home loan application. So I'm going to let go of that, and you can see it puts a keyframe there. Now whenever I bring this back, you can see she's walking backwards. I'm going to go ahead and click off of here so it deselects. I'm going to press the space bar, and now she is walking to the bank. I'll let it render here real quick, and then it'll play again. Okay, so it's not choppy. And that is basically how you can rig up a character in After Effects that you developed in Adobe Illustrator and make a cartoon out of it. I hope you guys got something from this here today, and we're going to be using this process over and over again to make the rest of this animation. And if you're one of our if you're one of my YouTube subscribers, what we're actually doing is making a commercial for a local business that is close to the school that we are at. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.